Okay. Greetings to everyone. I hope we have good audio and video today. Can you all hear me well?
Yes, sir, we can hear you well.
Okay, then today is around Module 10, Dissertation. Firstly, congratulations. If you've got this far in the course, you've done really well. You've done already the leadership essay. Now we come to the larger activity of the final case study, dissertation. You've nearly climbed the mountain. So congratulations for reaching this far. This dissertation is an opportunity to show what you have learned and how you can put it into practice. It's preferably based in your own country or region and suggesting to identify a problem and how you might address it. Dissertations that are really good, we will try and promote. Generally speaking, the dissertations from the French language course are excellent. They all score really highly. Dissertations from the English language course nearly all pass, but they are not scoring as high as they should be because many students are not following the briefing notes. It is important to read and follow the briefing notes to get the maximum score. Many students are only just getting a pass mark when they could be getting a distinction because they've done some really good work, but they have not followed the briefing notes and the guidance for writing dissertations. It's not enough just to do the research. You have to present it in a professional and credible manner, and that means following the briefing notes. In order to write the dissertation, you must understand what are the overall health aims and policies of your country. You don't set them, but you must understand what they are. You must understand the overall funding environment for health in your country. Where does the money come from? Everybody thinks that all the money is from donors. It isn't. Probably less than 10% of the total health budget comes from donors. So have an understanding of where the money comes from. And then the overall supply chain. In the dissertation, everyone goes straight into focusing on their particular problem. You have to start by describing the overall health supply chain. What's the overall picture? And to acquire this information, it means that you have to read. You have to research the health issues, the overall assessments of the supply chain, and read them and be aware of them. That's a key point, the starting point for the dissertation. For the dissertation, you have a choice. Option A is to identify a problem and propose a solution, a written kind of essay. Or you can do a global fund format procurement and supply chain plan. We've already had a webinar on the PSM plan, so today's webinar is about the dissertation, option A. These briefing notes are only for option A. If you elect for the PSM plan, go to the webinar on the PSM plan. They're quite different in how we approach them. So what is this dissertation? It's a written, typed document presented in electronic format. You do not have to produce a book and bind it and submit it, just in electronic format. Needs to be around 15 pages long. Short dissertations will not be accepted. Longer ones will not be penalized, but you do not get any extra marks for writing a 50-page dissertation. The target is around 10-15 pages. The dissertation is not especially hard or difficult, but it does require planning. And that's where most people have the problems. They're not planning their dissertation. They're just jumping straight into it without planning it, and then they're scoring relatively low, even though they've done a lot of work. So plan the dissertation. Plan how you are going to undertake the task. Plan how and when you're going to make the major decisions. Understand the consequences of the decisions you make. Plan what you're going to do. Plan the amount of time it's going to take. Often people submit a concept note which would take a year's study to do. Be realistic. You only have a few weeks. Think about the time. Plan the time. Plan how you're going to monitor your own progress. How well are you doing at getting it written? Are you on target? Make a plan. That's the key message that we're bringing. Plan how you're going to make your dissertation. Then you'll score much higher. Okay, the basics, the presentation. We normally suggest it's submitted in PDF format, but in fact we'll take Word document and most other word processing software as well. It needs to be in English language, and we prefer UK or USA English, but we'll accept most styles of English. It needs to be a clear font. Don't go for cursive or very complicated fonts. Just a simple font. 12 or 11 point fonts is fine, and it should be on A4 paper size. Those are just the basics. So when we're talking about 10 to 15 pages, we mean 10 or 15 pages A4 size. It should be original work, and I'm going to explain a bit more what I mean by original in 1 or 2 slides' time. You need to show your logic and analysis. You can't just say, that's the problem, that's the solution. How did you find this problem? How did you measure it? How did you formulate a solution? That all needs to be included. Ideally, something you can use in your existing work and in your existing environment. You need to work independently, but you can and you should discuss what you're doing with your colleagues, other people in the department, talk to them, interview them, ask them questions about what they think. Total length, 10 to 15 pages. If it's more, that's okay. Present it in a professional manner. Cover page, title, name, put your name on it. 90% of the dissertations arrive with no name on them, and I have to trace the name from the email address. Remember, tables of contents and references at the end. So make it look like a professional report, like a professional document. Take a little bit of care with it. The nots, what you must not do. It needs to be original. You must not try to copy a project report. Sorry, are we okay? Yeah, can we mute, please? Let me go back one. Okay. It needs to be original. We do use anti-plagiarism software. So when you submit your report, we plug it into the software and it checks. If you've copied a large section of an existing report, we will find out. The anti-plagiarism software really is quite good, and it only takes about 10 minutes to check everything that's been published. So, original. We do a word count. Short submissions will be rejected. Again, long submissions are not penalized, but there's no extra marks for making a long dissertation. Well, what do we mean by original? It means that you have collected new evidence. You've done some kind of survey. Now, that could be a physical survey, a direct measurement like counting the stock. Or it could be an opinions survey. You've asked 10, 15 people what they think is the biggest problem. That's new evidence, that's original. Could be that you're going to use existing data, but you're going to analyze it in a new way. You might already have 5 stock reports that say expiry is a problem. So you're going to use that data, but no one's analyzed that data to find out why there is a problem before. That's original, that's okay. So you're using existing data, but you're analyzing it in a new way. Or you can formulate a new solution. So you can say this report has collected this data, it's found this, but nobody solved the problem. So you're going to formulate a new solution. That's original, that's okay. Or you reach a new conclusion. So you take an existing report, it's already collected data, it's analyzed it, but they concluded this was the case, but it didn't work. So you make a different conclusion saying that wasn't really the problem. The problem is, and we go from there. So by original, it could be lots of different ways in which you do it. It doesn't mean every single part has to be original. You can collect new data, or you can use existing data if you analyze it in a new way. You can use the same analysis if you reach a different conclusion, if you propose a new solution to the problem. So some part of it has to be original, done for the first time. What can you use? You can use data from previous reports and publications, that's fine, provided you cite the source and you analyze it in a new way. You don't always have to go and collect new data. It's fine if you do, that's good, but you can analyze old data in a new way. You can use quotations and extracts from reports and publications if you cite the source and you show how these findings reinforce or support your ideas. So you think we've got a lot of expiry. These 3 reports all say there's a lot of expiry. That's good. You can use solutions suggested by other parties. They tried this in this country and it worked really well. Or they tried this and it didn't work. Or we tried it before and it didn't work. Provided you cite the source and you say what you're going to do different this time. You can reach the same conclusion as other reports if you cite the source and say how the new data reinforces this same conclusion. So you can use lots of different source information and citations and reports. What have you got to do first? Select one particular area of identified weakness. You might choose expiry rates. We have a high rate of expiry. It's okay. That's your identified rate. Describe the problem in the area using published evidence. Not just, I think there's a lot of expiry. What reports are there about expiry? And nearly every country has got lots of reports all about their PSM. Research them, cite them. So you say it's a problem, that's good. That's your opinion and experience, that counts for a lot. But it needs to be supported by published evidence. Then you're going to collect some data, some original evidence. That could be a survey, or it could be researching all the publications. Then you're going to formulate some solutions to the problems. What are we going to do about it? Then we're going to make an outline action plan. Step by step, who is going to do what, where, when, and how? Expiry rates, we're going to run training classes, okay? How are we going to do that? We're going to do face-to-face, we're going to do online. Who's going to write the training program? Who's going to deliver it? How are we going to get it across to the people involved? We need to formulate some KPI, key performance indicators. How are we going to measure the implementation and if it's getting better? You don't have to measure it. What we're saying is how you are going to measure it. What KPI, what performance indicators are you going to use, and how are you going to formulate those KPI? How are you going to decide what they are? Then an outline budget, and it only needs to be outlined. And if you've got problems, we'll help you with some unit costs. So again, if we take expiry rates, you might say, we're going to have a training program for the warehouse staff. Okay, what's the budget? Well, we need a teacher, and we need a room, and we need a little workshop for about 2 hours, 3 times maybe, and we'll reinforce it after 6 months and do it again to make sure we get the message across. Just list out the different activities and some basic unit costs of what it might be. The key points around this is evidence. Who says it's a problem? Yeah, you've chosen a problem, and it surely is. And we value your experience and insight, but we need more than that. If you are ever going to obtain funding to address it, we're going to need more than, I think, expiry rate is a problem. We need at least 2 published references that says it's a problem. How serious is the problem, and what do people think about it? Now, I can do research, I could survey people, I can use a questionnaire, or I can do a literature review. Solution, who else has tried this? Has any other country tried this? What's their experience? Again, at least 1 published reference. If your solution is entirely new, that's okay. Say it's entirely new. No one's tried it before. Okay. That would be unusual, but it's okay. KPI, where is the KPI come from? Where have your key performance indicators come from? WHO has lots of them already. First of all, selecting your problem. How are you going to get the evidence? Well, nearly all countries have a Global Fund grant, and Global Funds published lots and lots and lots of reports about the PSM system. Nearly every year they complain about how bad the PSM system is. Here is an example of a Global Fund report for Zambia. Okay, and you see one of the things they're complaining about in the Global Fund report is expiry of antiretrovirals was $4 million. That's quite a lot of expiry. Yeah. So if you choose expiry rates, this is your evidence. This is your published evidence to support that it's a problem. And Global Fund has such reports for nearly every country. It's all there, and there'll be lots of complaints. So whichever area you choose, you should easily be able to find published references to support that this is a problem. It doesn't have to be Global Fund information. There's lots of assessments. Nearly everyone's supply chain has been assessed and assessed. USAID has assessed them. DFID UK governments assess them. Various NGOs have assessed them. Lots of published reports all about the supply chain. In there will be all the identified problems. That's how you find the published reports to support your selection of the identified problem. Think about the solution. So you've got a problem, expiry rates. What are we going to do about it? If I need to recommend 300 new staff and $10 million, frankly, there's not much chance the Ministry of Health is going to agree. So try and think about a solution which is practical. Even if it's a very big problem, I could take it in little stages. I could take the solutions 1 step at a time. We have no warehouse space. It's all been destroyed. We need to build a new warehouse. Okay, that's a lot of money and it will take a lot of time. How could we start now with some temporary warehouse buildings and build from there? Okay. So think about the solutions. Think about how you're going to collect the information. How you're going to put it together, and look for some supporting published evidence. It's good that you know what the situation is. It's good that you're surveying it, but some published evidence. Before you start, you need to submit a one-page outline of your dissertation. This is not marked, but it will form the basis of your dissertation. So first off, you're going to say, what is your chosen PSM problem? And hopefully at least one report of published evidence to support it. How did you identify this problem? Personal experience is fine, but again, citing a published report helps to boost that. How are you going to measure the problem? Maybe you're going to survey, maybe you're going to go and count boxes, maybe you're going to ask 5 or 6 experts in the field what they think about it. That's all fine. How are you going to formulate a solution to the problem? You can think it up on your own, but it's always better if you consult with people. So you might think, who am I going to consult with? I'll get the idea first, how I'm going to solve it. My expiry rates, I'm going to have a training program, but perhaps I should talk to 2 or 3 people. What's their experience? Do training programs really work? Are they good? Maybe there's another way to do it. Maybe if we color-coded the boxes, one color for each month of the year, that would help to do it. Lots of different ways. Speak to different people. So how are you going to formulate the solution? Who are you going to consult with? How is it going to work? How are you going to prepare an action plan? Firstly, you will prepare it. But again, it's always a good idea to speak to some colleagues, speak to some friends. What do they think about it? And then the KPI, how are you going to measure that the problem is reduced? You don't have to measure it. What we're asking for is how you are going to measure it, because that's off in the future after you've done your action plan. So for the concept note, do some initial research and complete the table on the concept note. Start off with your name, the population, what's your gross national index, what's the income level, most will be low middle income countries, what's your total pharmaceutical spending? Well, why are we asking for that? Because that sets how much you're dealing with. For many countries, it will be less than $20 per capita. So we know that you haven't got a lot of medicine. You're not dealing with huge volumes. The USA spends $1,000 per capita. Europe is $800 per capita. And most low-income countries are around $10 per capita. What information is there available on your country? Just list a few reports. Just the URL, just where they are on the internet address, the URL for them. Just 2 or 3. What are the main problems? Again, list a few reports. What's the area you want to do? So in this one-page outline, it's not marked, but it is reviewed. And if you want, you can discuss it with a tutor and see if it's practical and achievable, and the tutor will help you with that. And then make a Gantt chart of your activities. Just think, how long is what I've just proposed going to take? You don't have to submit the Gantt chart. That's not part of the concept note, but make it, it's part of your planning. So, current status on PSM, take a few days, take a week, look through, do some internet research, put the publications together. Key problems, again, chosen problem area, and go on down the whole list of the dissertation. How long is it going to take you to do this? Then you've got a clear plan. You know what you're going to do. You know how long it's going to take. You can ask for assistance from the tutors at any time, but you must do the work. The tutors can only guide you. They cannot do the research for you. They cannot write the dissertation for you. They can help you source some information if you can't find any, and review your ideas and proposals. They can discuss with you if you wish. It's not compulsory. You don't have to consult with the tutors, but we're available if required. But remember, you have to do the work. We cannot do it for you. How is the dissertation structured? We start with a title page. Put your name on it. I keep saying this because so many arrive with no name on. And then the basic details, a table of contents, a list of abbreviations, especially if some of them are not in English. So if you're from Indonesia and you're going to use Bahasa Indonesian terms, then we need not just the abbreviation, but the translation as well. We start with the background. And many of the dissertations submitted in the English language course don't include this. So they're already scoring low because they haven't put the background. What's the information on your country? What's the population? If you're doing a region, then you put the information on the region. It's fine to do regional with 3 or 4 countries, SADC group, ECOWAS group, if you wish. But basic background information. Then, what's the current status of all health PSM? All, not just your chosen one item. And that you can normally get from the pharmaceutical profile for your country, or any of the assessment reports that we talked about, the Global Fund or the USAID assessment reports. What are the key problems? What are the key gaps in PSM? Then choose your stated problem. What is the one you're going to do? But we start with the background. What's the overall PSM picture? What are the key problems? What are the key gaps in PSM? That comes first. Then state the problem to be studied in detail. Why have you selected it? And what's the evidence for the problem? Then you're going to go and collect the evidence. Start by saying what's not available. What's the expiry rate? 90% of countries don't know. If I ask them what's their rate, no idea. They don't measure it. So it's fine to say we don't know what the expiry rate is. We think it's a problem, but we don't really know. Then how are you going to get the new information? You can do a survey. How have you designed this survey tool? Well, I just wrote it on a piece of paper. Who did you consult with? What did you look at? What other survey tools did you look at? You don't have to follow them. What we're looking for is that you have looked at other survey tools. If you looked at the ones used by WHO or UNICEF or some other agencies, yeah, they use that tool. It's not quite right for what I want, but I looked at it and I used a couple of ideas from it. Okay. What are the key gaps in your specific problem area? So expiry rates, most of the time we don't know. All we get is a big complaint from Global Fund now and again. We don't measure the expiry rate. How are you going to address those gaps? What am I going to do to close the gaps? Then I'm going to formulate a solution. Start by how are you going to formulate a solution? What new technologies or new systems are you going to use, if any? Why has this solution got a good chance of success? Has it been tried before in any other countries? Has it worked there? If not, why are we doing it now? Why do I think it's going to work? And then formulate the action plan, putting that forward step by step. What are we going to do? Then monitoring, KPIs, and an outline budget. Also a very, very basic risk assessment and risk mitigation plan. So I'll explain that a little bit more with my example of the expiry rates on the next few slides. So just a basic outline budget, no detail. If it's my expiry rates, I'm going to do a training workshop. I'm going to do 3 workshops for warehouse staff. Going to take 3 hours each time. That's fine. And I'm going to run 3 of them and repeat after 1 year. That's fine. That's all I need to do. I don't need a lot of detail, just an outline budget. Am I looking at thousands of dollars or millions of dollars is all I really want to know in the budget. So here is an example for an outline budget, workshop for trainers, training some trainers. Only just a brief outline of the costs. And if you want to know unit costs, if you don't have the information, we'll help you provide unit costs. So you can see how much per day. A workshop is about $2,500 per day. We're going to run it for 3 days. That's $7,500. And we'll help you with the unit costs if you need it. This risk assessment is to understand all we're asking for is a very, 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 very basic risk management assessment. That you've looked what could go wrong in my action plan and what could I do about it if it does go wrong. And we talk about a heat map. And that's basically the traffic light system of green, amber, red for the risks. So we look at the risk level for each of the risks and put that forward. Mainly we want to see that you've thought about what could go wrong. So in my example from Zambia of expiry rates, what's the risk? Well, the risk would be nobody comes to my training session. Nobody turns up. That's a risk. It's not very strong, but usually people will turn up. No one pays any attention in the training. They're all falling asleep. They're all not listening. Medium risk. And then, yeah, they all come to the training program, but then they don't do anything. They don't implement anything we've talked about. And that's a big risk. What can I do about it? How can I mitigate these risks? Well, I could get a high-level person like the minister to give an order that you've got to come to the training. I can make the training exciting, make it interesting. And for implementation, I can look at incentives, how to get people to reduce waste. So then I end up with a heat map that looks like this. Yellow, green, amber, red, how we go through, but just very, very basic. So on my risk assessment for the training, poor attendance, poor absorption, poor implementation. How am I going to mitigate it? Yeah. What's the financial risk? I waste the money on the training. If it's not taken up, if it's not implemented, I've wasted money. So we'll look at the risk and the financial risk and how we mitigate those risks. Just very, very basic little heat map like this. So an example mitigation plan, I'm going to monitor the action plan. I'm going to do a monthly review of progress and review it and see how well we're doing. I'm going to check with the finance that it's all working. Product risk, I'm going to check all the products are there. And government oversight, I'm going to have the auditors look at everything afterwards. And that's all, just a very basic mitigation plan. Okay, then the ending pages we come to is clear, concise evidence. This is the problem. This solution has a good chance of working because. Appendices, any extra list information you want to include, an index if you wish. It's not compulsory to have appendices or an index. If you find it useful, it's okay to add them in. So timeline, what are we thinking about? By the end of month 1, you should have been completing the overall current status of all PSM, the key problems in all PSM, what are the key gaps in all PSM, then stating your chosen problem, why you've selected the problem, how you're going to collect evidence. That's the end of month 1. By the end of month 2, you should have completed collecting the evidence, a survey, either of counting boxes and commodities or of consulting people, how you designed the information gathering tool, reporting the new information, the gaps. I went out to collect this, but I still have a gap, that's okay. We can't always foresee everything. How are you going to address the gaps? So by the end of month 2, dissertation is largely complete now. Month 3, by the end of month 3, we should have the solution and complete the rest of the dissertation. So months 1, 2, and 3, 3 months for the dissertation, making progress each month. Overall, it's not that hard. It does require planning. And that's where most people are going wrong. They're not planning it. It does require research, not just I think. I think is good. We value your experience. It's not enough to make the money flow. You need published evidence, and that means doing research. Guidance and support is available, but you must do the work. And if you want guidance, you must ask for it. We're available if required. Okay, it's question and answer time. Do we have anything in the chat box?
Yeah, good morning, Professor.
Okay, Adio, yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm Ahmed, and I'm calling from Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
It seems basically I have submitted my concept paper, and it has been approved.
Yep.
But going through the course seems to be focused on public service and I can say non-governmental operations. And some of us, in my own case, I happen to be working in the private sector, and which is virtually small, but and also when I attempt to go and search for information for me to write my dissertation as a PSM plan, I was having challenges in the people I have to meet. Their own schedule is not matching with my own schedule. So I have to be constantly being told to call them back later and all of that. So I decided to look within my workspace and to identify the supply chain problems which are within my workspace. So I made the concept notes based on that. However, I want to ask that you try to elaborate your presentations and extend them to smaller private sectors, because now even going to the dissertation, one of the challenges I will have is to have reference materials talking about small scale commercialized businesses. I think that is a challenge that I'm going to face, but I will try to do it. Maybe my own research will be a novelty to expand on the private sector. So that's just what I have to say.
Okay, that's fine. I understand what you're saying, and that's quite right. This presentation is mainly focused on the public sector. We do welcome private sector participation. If there are not published reports on your supply chain, it's fine to use opinion. It's fine to consult with 2 or 3 people in the private sector and just record their opinion. So I looked at this. The problem was in the private sector achieving payment from the government for our goods. Yeah. And these 3 people all agreed it was a problem. That's evidence. That's fine. So it's okay to look at it in that way. And I take your point, and I will add that into the presentation specifically to allow for private sector activities, which we fully encourage. We can learn a lot from the private sector. We want them on board. Okay, do we have anything else in the chat box? Anyone else wishes to raise their hand and ask a question?
Good afternoon, this is Adio Taiba.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Prof, for the presentation. It was really enlightening. So my issue was I should have graduated early this year, but I had to put it on hold because I got an offer for a master's program, which I just concluded now. So now I want to finish up on my dissertation. That's the only thing that is remaining for me to finish up. However, before then, I submitted a concept note on the option B.
Yep.
Because of my 1-year experience in master's program and then the presentation I've had with you today, it gives me a better understanding, and I think I would want to go for the PSM problem. So I want to ask, can I rewrite a concept note for option A and do the research for that?
Yes, no problem. If you wish, it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's no problem to change after the fact. You've had a second thought about it. It's okay.
I actually sent a mail and she said she wasn't sure. So I said, okay, probably if I come for the presentation, I'll ask you then if it's something.
It's okay. We're quite flexible about that. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
You want to raise your hand? Everyone's asking for the slides. As always, every webinar we do, we always provide you with the slide deck. You'll also see it on the video access for the whole presentation as well. And again, I would say for somehow we don't have this problem on the French language course. They all seem to understand. Maybe it's the French education system is more geared towards dissertations. Yeah, is that Peter Mahoney unmuted? Do you wish to speak?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Go ahead,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the good presentation that you have just given. I think what I would person who just talked about submitting the PSM plan, that's what I also did. But I also wanted to ask, because I think you touched on some other issues in terms of introduction into writing the concept note. So my question would be, does this also apply with the PSM plan?
No, we have a
Should I
separate
also
webinar. We already presented on the PSM plan a separate webinar about an hour, how to do it. The concept note is similar for the PSM plan. But basically, you're going to produce a PSM plan for the concept note. The only decision on the concept note is which area. You're going to do HIV, TB, malaria, or cross-cutting.
Okay. So my other question would, how long does it take in terms of a review and feedback? That, like, I would have written the PSM plan concept note, or maybe I would want to write this one. How long does the feedback come to us? Thank you.
Okay, the technical review would take about 7 days. It has to be logged in, it has to go through administration, it has to be charted and recorded, so that takes longer. Once that's done, the actual technical review of the plan takes about 7 days, unless it is selected for audit. So we are audited as well. Our marking is audited. About 10 or 15% of our marking is audited and verified by external examiners to make sure that we're being scrupulously fair all the time. So if it's selected for external audit, it might take a little bit longer before the external examiners, maybe an extra 10 days, 2 weeks before they pass it as okay.
Okay, thank you.
But normally
so much,
the technical review is
the last
7 days.
might be, okay. Thank you so much. Maybe the last one would be, I see that it takes roughly about 3 months, considering that we will be looking to collect data, conduct surveys, and then write some sort of complete the concept note. I also heard that there might be the graduation ceremony, I think around September or so. So does it mean that now after we have touched on this one, it might actually be postponed?
I don't know. I'll have to check with admin, but we run graduation ceremonies 3 or 4 times a year, so it's usually not an issue. I mean,
yes, Prof.
We have so many students that we run graduation ceremonies. We try to keep it to about 20 students in the graduation ceremony. Otherwise, it gets too long. So 3 or 4 times a year, we're doing graduation.
Yes, hello, Prof.
Odol, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Odol. Mine is a postgraduate diploma.
Yep.
So I'm also to provide my thesis. I have to do the same process as the master's students.
Yes, for the master's degree, it is more advanced. So for this, it's a dissertation. For the master's degree, it's a thesis. It's quite a lot more advanced.
This is a
master's
dissertation
degree. This is a dissertation, 10 to 15 pages. Yeah. For the master's degree, I'm afraid you're quite a lot longer and quite a lot more research involved. You don't get away with just 15 pages. For the master's degree, we measure it by the kilo.
Oh, okay. So I'll submit. I've already worked on last mile delivery. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Let's check if we've got anything in the chat box. Okay, Zambia, that report is from quite a while ago, so don't worry too much about that. It's been addressed by now. Okay, Ahmed, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Prof. Prof, I see you presented the expected time for one to prepare for the dissertation is something like 3 months.
Yes.
Yeah, and however, I want to bring to your notice that this is a postgraduate diploma in which you expected people who have graduated and have some amount of employment undertaking the course. And sometimes it is actually challenging based on the fact that, yes, you schedule your days to take your classes and you'll be in a location where there is no network connectivity, and we have been lagging behind, especially myself. I have completed the course. I have completed all my modules, and I was just, I had a delay in my dissertation because I was skeptical about my concept notes. So I just got the email a few days ago that it was accepted. And now I'm putting together my sense and writings. I suspect that I'll be late.
The 3 months is a guideline. Okay, it's not compulsory to complete in 3 months. The 3 months is a guideline. So basically, like most of the course, we expect you to be spending about 40 hours per month on the course. So if you need longer, we can discuss that with admin, how long you might need. Equally, some people do it in 1 month. They just work full time on it and complete. Yeah? So we can be flexible. That's the advantage of an online course. We can be flexible about it if you need more time. Speak with admin, let them know, provided we know it's taking longer, we can be more relaxed about it. 3 months is the guideline time using our 40 hours per month as the commitment for the course.
Okay, so I know you are familiar with the structure of the course. So in the case somebody has submitted the dissertation and there is or the person hasn't got any time to access the portal, how will the person know that my dissertation has been graded and I have completed everything?
You will normally be notified because it's the last step. So you'll be notified that you have graduated and you'll be included in the graduation ceremony.
Okay, thank you. You can continue.
Okay, do we have any questions in the chat box? Let's have a look.
Hi, Prof.
Go ahead.
Okay, so mine is also to check with you in terms of the prerequisite for graduations. So in terms of the timeline for submission of the dissertation, does it mean one can only graduate after a full completion of the submission and review of dissertation? Thank you.
That's normally the case, yes. That's normally the case. A review of dissertation, it's completed, and then we do the graduation. There are always exceptions, and remember that we do have to work with external examiners as well. Sometimes the external examiners will tell us to go ahead with the graduation. So everything we do, just like
thank you so much.
Go ahead. Yep. Everything we do is
yes. I think.
Yeah. Go ahead, Peter. Yep.
Okay. No, the last one would be in. In terms of the funding, I think that countries are normally funded by Global Fund or something related to that. To work is I'm working in the NGO, in a non-governmental organization. So would I be wrong to say, in terms of the PSM plan, the funding would be done by the organization itself?
In the terms of producing it?
Yes, Prof. In terms of producing it.
Right. The answer is in most cases, yes, but that is only because most countries don't ask for funding. So in the overall Global Fund grant application, countries can ask for technical assistance funding. Majority of countries never ask for it. So you don't get it, but you can ask for it, and then you will get support for writing the PSM plan. You will get funding. It's just the same as we're often asked for scholarships for the courses. Well, only one country in the whole of Africa has ever asked for scholarships for PSM training, and that was Tanzania. Most countries don't ask for it, which is why you're not getting scholarships. It's not being included in the Global Fund grant application. Global Fund will pay, but they'll only pay if you ask for it. And so it is with the PSM plan. They will fund to help you write the PSM plan if you ask for it. But most countries never ask. They make a grant application and that's it. We just tick the box. Is technical assistance required? No. Is support required? No. And that really has to change. That really has to be moved around. Countries need support to do the PSM plan. Those who have done it know how difficult and hard it is to produce a PSM plan. It takes time and resources. Global Fund will fund it if they are asked.
Thank you.
Ahmed, do you still have your hand up? Do you still wish to ask a question?
Yes. I'm just wondering, After completing the postgraduate diploma, what support is Empower going to provide to its graduates as they strive in the universe?
What support would you like? What support are you asking for?
Internship recommendations,
Okay.
continuous professional development training, or webinars like this to be on a continuous basis on the professional development.
All right. Okay. CPRs, I do at least one a week. So you should be getting notifications of those on continuous professional development. Yeah. And they are available in English and French. I don't do the French, but they are also available in French. So that's one a week throughout the year. I'm not suggesting you should listen to every one of them. Choose the ones that are of interest to you. And that's the continuous professional development. Internships, we do post, we do send out on the alumni network. So if you join the alumni network, you will get notification of internships and job offers and other things that are going along. You do get technical support for 12 months. So you can ask us a technical question and we'll try and answer it if we can. We do liaise with all the international organizations and we do try to promote our graduates that are getting increasingly recognized now. But it is a hard struggle. We have a big job to move the profession of PSM from Cinderella into mainstream. And all of us are working hard on doing that. But if there's a specific area you think you might like some help in, drop us a line, drop us an email, put it in the forum, put it on the alumni network, and let's see what we can do.
Okay, thanks. And lastly, what is the synergy between the postgraduate diploma and the MSc?
Basically, if you did the master's degree, you would have to do the same modules that you've undertaken on the postgraduate diploma, and then you do about double that for the master's degree. So the front end is basically the same. The 8 basic modules that you've done, and then you do the extra ones in far more detail. Areas like data analytics, areas like risk management, like COVID, like pandemic management, all the extra ones, humanitarian and health, all the extra areas for it. If we take the ground book, Managing Drug Supply by MSH WHO, that is 1,084 pages. In the postgraduate diploma, you've covered about 30% of it. In the master's degree, you cover about 70% of it. And we would happily do more if there was time, but always we are pushed to include more and more and more in the course. And I think you'll agree, the postgraduate diploma course is already quite intense.
Yeah, so I was wondering why wouldn't we get people who have done the postgraduate diploma jump into the MSc with a 30% off?
You do, but you do get a reduced price for it, yes. There's a separate price structure if you've already completed the postgraduate diploma.
Okay.
You don't pay the full MSc price if you've already done the postgraduate diploma.
But I've seen an advert for the MSc, but I've not seen the price tag to it.
There's 2 different price structures where you enter the course, whether you enter from the beginning or whether you enter after the postgraduate diploma. That there's a different price structure for different entry points.
Okay.
One point about the master's degree course is we have a much greater degree of oversight for the MSc. So the external examiners are right all over us on that one. Okay, do we have any more questions? We have another few minutes. If we have more questions, we'll take them. Just check the chat box. Okay, yes, by example from Zambia, my apologies to Zambia. The expiry rates has long since been addressed in Zambia. That's okay. That was just an example of, because I happened to be there at the time in Zambia when it was happening. Okay. Okay, Priya, then back to you and we'll close out.
Okay, well, thank you so much, sir, for the lovely PPT and the session. I guess it went very well. Regarding the PPT will be shared with you right after the session on email. So please let me know in case you still haven't received the PPT. I will do the needful. Also, the recording will be updated on our YouTube channel. So the link will also be provided to you in a day or two. Is there any further question related to the topic or the PPT or recording?
Okay, then.
We can end this session, sir.
Okay, then namaste. Yeah. May all travel in peace, light, and tranquility, and arrive home in joy and happiness. Okay, goodbye for now.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Priya.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you.